impossible dream made possible by the greatest British manager ever, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Sir Alex Ferguson is a legend, and of course he is one of the best coaches in the world. Successfully led Manchester United to glory for more than a decade. Not only did he become known as a great master of the game, but he is also remembered as one of the most ruthless managers in football history. During his 26 years as United boss, there were so many players who fell victim to his anger. Sir Alex is known to not tolerate players who don't follow his rules. Some time ago, when Alex Ferguson lectured at Harvard University, he said how his ruthless attitude and winning mentality brought United to be the main force in the English league. He has a strong personality, knows when to act, and when to give pressure to players to remain disciplined. What Sir Alex did, of course, was not always in line with the players he handled. Often the players have to feel his famous hairdryer treatment, or simply sold to other clubs. Here are some players with great talent who have had great feuds with Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. Number 1. Peter Schmeichel. Remembered as Manchester United's best goalkeeper for his shot-stopping prowess, as well as his fearsome presence in front of goal. But Schmeichel almost lost his place at Old Trafford due to a heated argument with Sir Alex Ferguson. United ended the game 3-3 against Liverpool at Anfield in January 1994. And Schmeichel for the first time got the surprise hairdryer treatment from Ferguson. Schmeichel said Ferguson really wanted to beat Liverpool. He was very upset that we threw away the chance to beat them. Sir Alex attacked us and centered his anger on me. We were 3-0 up, and in the second half I worked extra hard. But we couldn't hold it together, so I cursed back. After that, Sir Alex called me in and spoke to me. He said, "You know what? I'm going to fire you." And I said, "Fine, let me go." After that, we argued again in the dressing room. The next day, Schmeichel apologized to all his teammates for his bad attitude. Little did he know, Ferguson was standing on the other side of the door listening. Schmeichel said, "I want to apologize to you all for my behavior on Saturday. I also apologize to the manager, and I think a player shouldn't behave like that." After hearing Schmeichel's words silently, Alex Ferguson told Schmeichel's agent that he would not sack him. Number 2. Paul McGrath. He was one of the most accomplished center backs in the 80s and 90s. In his biography, McGrath said that he was about to quit his job as a soccer player in 1989 because of his feud with Alex Ferguson. Having only been in charge for 3 years, he replaced Ron Atkinson and came to restore the glory of Manchester United. One of Ferguson's main projects when he arrived was to eliminate the habit of Manchester United players drinking alcohol. However, Paul McGrath, who was then one of Manchester United's best players, felt Ferguson was overdoing it because he was always watching him and he felt distrusted. He was often humiliated in front of the crowd and was often the victim of the coach's hairdryer treatment. His drinking habits were intolerable to Ferguson. He asked McGrath to quit football and offered him £100,000. McGrath hesitated but then refused and chose to join Aston Villa. He had to continue his career as he was only 29 years old at the time. McGrath achieved tremendous success with Aston Villa and the Irish national team. But according to Ferguson, that would not have happened if he had stayed at Old Trafford. Alex Ferguson said, "I believe the McGrath we saw at Aston Villa has changed. But it won't happen at Old Trafford because he hides in a false cocoon. He surrounds himself with people who are bad influences. He knows if he stays at Manchester United, it will make us suffer. I always felt the fragility of the man and felt sorry for him for being victimized by his own attitude." McGrath later recalled when his team beat Manchester United in the 1994 Cup final. Ferguson came up to him and said, "Good job, big man." Shook his hand with a smiling look on his face. I took it as an expression of love. He turned out to be a very nice man.
I regretted hating him for 5 years.
Since then, Sir Alex Ferguson's relationship with McGrath has improved. Ferguson even invited McGrath to join the Manchester United management team after McGrath retired.
Number 3. Carlos Tevez. On loan from West Ham for 2 years since 2007 for the Red Devils.
He formed a great teamwork with Rooney and Ronaldo in the front line of Manchester United. In his first season, he scored 19 goals in 48 games, helped clinch the English League title, and won the Champions League in the 2007-2008 season.
However, in his second year,
his relationship with Ferguson deteriorated, coupled with the arrival of Dimitar Berbatov. Ferguson often prefers Berbatov rather than him. In year 3, Manchester United wanted to change his status to permanent, but with a transfer value of £25 million considered Ferguson not worthy of Tevez's talent. Then Tevez chose to move to Manchester United's city rivals, which made Alex Ferguson angry. I put Tevez on in the first half of the Champions League final, and I felt he was only playing for himself. From what I can understand, he had already made up his mind even before joining Manchester City. At Manchester City, Tevez repeatedly celebrated his goals to satirize Ferguson. His most controversial act was when he won the Premier League with City. Tevez celebrated by holding a poster that read "Rip Fergie." His departure to City made United fans blame Ferguson. But when Tevez acted up again and left City to play golf in Argentina, Ferguson could breathe a sigh of relief because the decision he made not to make Tevez permanent was the right one. Number 4. Paul Ince. Paul Ince is one player who knows the consequences of going against Ferguson. Ince joined Manchester United from West Ham for £1 million in 1989 and went on to enjoy great success at Old Trafford. He won 2 English leagues, 2 FA Cups, 1 League Cup, and 1 UEFA Super Cup during his time at Old Trafford. Ince was a central midfielder who played a key role in ending Manchester United's 26-year wait for league glory. Thanks to his role, Ince was adored by Manchester United fans. But 6 years later, Ferguson sold him to Inter Milan for £7,500,000. It was a good sale for the club, but it broke the hearts of Paul Ince and the fans. In an interview, Paul Ince said, "I remember we played Norwich at Carrow Road. They were going for the same title as us until the 92nd minute. I remember we were 3-0 or 3-1 up. I got the ball, but ran the wrong way and they nearly scored. Then the whistle blew and everyone ran towards us to congratulate us. But Ferguson came into the dressing room looking very angry. Ferguson shouted in my face, saying, 'Who do you think you are? You're not Maradona or Pele.' I confusedly replied, 'What do you mean, Sir Alex?' He firmly said, 'You lost the ball in the 92nd minute and they could have scored.' I argued, but we still won. Sir Alex kept shouting until his saliva got in my eyes and into my mouth, so I kept quiet. Paul Ince was losing his place at Manchester United as David Beckham, Nicky Butt, and other academy players filled the squad. He went to Inter Milan and played there for 2 years. Then he moved to Liverpool, who became Manchester United's eternal rivals, making Sir Alex Ferguson's anger continue. Number 5. Ruud van Nistelrooy. The Dutch striker was Alex Ferguson's mainstay between 2001 and 2006. He became one of the most prolific strikers to ever play for Manchester United and helped them win the English League Cup, FA Cup, and League Cup. In 219 games for the Red Devils, Nistelrooy scored 150 goals. However, his time at Old Trafford came to a bitter end. The arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo made him lose his cool. He often complained and protested against the way Ronaldo played, which according to him is not like Beckham, who has been compatible with him. Because of his attitude, he was often reserved by Ferguson. Nistelrooy became angry more often and even once cursed Ferguson violently. In 2006, he chose to move to Real Madrid. The change in him was dramatic. Ruud thought the team would stagnate.
He didn't believe we could win the Champions League, especially with young players like Rooney and Ronaldo.
In 2010, with encouragement from his wife, Nistelrooy contacted Ferguson and sincerely apologized to him for the way he left the club. Ferguson forgave him, then said maybe it was a guilt complex. Those feelings may have been playing on his mind all along. Ruud was undoubtedly the more mature man at that stage.
Number 6. Jaap Stam.
Defending the Red Devils for 3 seasons, Jaap Stam helped the historic treble for United. However, having only played for 3 seasons, he was sold by Ferguson to Lazio.
Sir Alex was angry because of some quotes in Stam's book entitled Head to Head.
In the book, Stam implicitly explained that he was bought by Ferguson without the consent of PSV, the club he previously defended. At first, Ferguson told me not to worry about it.
But on Wednesday, I was told that he was not happy. I told him that there was nothing bad in the book, but he insisted that he was unhappy.
He then backed me up and said that the reason was the book. A few weeks after that, while Stam was at the gas station, Ferguson met him and gave him the bad news that he had been sold to Lazio. When Ferguson came, he got into my car and said that the club had received an offer from Lazio.
At first, I thought he was coming to say that I could regain my place as a starting player.
But it turned out that our relationship had completely changed. Within 24 hours, I was on my way to Rome and joined Lazio. The sale of Stam was one of Ferguson's most regrettable sales and drew a negative reaction from Red Devils fans.
Number 7. David Beckham.
One of the most memorable debates in the history of Manchester United was when Sir Alex Ferguson and his favorite player, David Beckham, clashed. Ferguson was born and raised in Glasgow, a city where soccer was his only obsession.
And he also hates showbiz.
When Beckham started his relationship with Victoria, Beckham knew that Fergie would doubt his professionalism. They started fussing over many things, including Beckham's mohawk haircut. Gary Neville even said they fussed at least once a week. But the incident that became the peak of the commotion occurred in February 2003.
When Manchester United lost 2-0 to Arsenal in the 5th round match of the FA Cup.
Ferguson accused Beckham of making a mistake in that match and accidentally kicked a shoe that hit the forehead above Beckham's eye. Beckham at that time was more than just a United icon. His name was worldwide. Fans asked Ferguson to apologize for his actions. However, Ferguson of course refused. "No player is bigger than the manager," said Fergie. The next day, the story was published in various media. It was then that Fergie told the board that David had to go. His famous quote was, "Once a Manchester United player feels he is bigger than the manager, then he must go."
When the manager loses his authority, he no longer owns the club.
"The players take over and you're in trouble," said Fergie.
Number 8. Wayne Rooney.
Had lost respect for Ferguson due to the departure of Ronaldo and Tevez.
In his documentary released by Amazon Prime, Rooney said, "We let Tevez go, then sold Ronaldo. So I was the only one left.
Then I went to Sir Alex's office and asked him what he was up to, but he kicked me out of his office."
At that time, the club had just offered me a new contract, but I needed reassurance about who would come in to build the team.
His concern is understandable, considering that it was Ronaldo who contributed 26 goals in all competitions for United and then had to be sold. Rooney wants assurance that the players who will come have a long-term commitment to the club. At that time, United was experiencing a decline in performance. That's what I said before he sent me out.
He's probably the best manager of all time. It's a bit disrespectful when a young boy comes and asks him that.
But I also have a personal point of view. His relationship with Ferguson may have changed a bit, but Rooney chose to stay at Manchester United for the next 7 years. He even helped the club win 2 English leagues before returning to his boyhood team, Everton.